All right, let's dive right in because we have so much to catch up on, starting with my elbow. I fractured my elbow, dude. Let me just tell you, most embarrassing probably thing. I was at the gym working out, doing my training that my trainer set up in an app. You know, I'm working with a trainer. I love him. He has this app that we use for our workouts while we're gone. And I'm following this like warm up. Okay. I'm not even to the workout yet. I'm doing my warm up. And one of the moves is a step down from a step. But when I look at the video to see how I need to do it, what I see is instead of setting up an actual step, you know how when you're at the gym, you have to actually like put the pieces on and like build the step? That in the video, it appears that instead of putting a step together, they just stacked the top of the steps and they stacked four of them. So I look at the video and go, okay, I won't put a step together. I'll just slide over this pile of stacked steps that's right next to me and do my little warm up step down. It's like no weights, right? Nothing like that. I'm just literally stepping down with one leg to do my warm up each side, 10 times each side, right? And of course, as I'm putting them together, I'm like, should probably put a step together. But I'm like, yeah, it was in the video and I'll just like do this. And I don't know. I guess I was just hurrying. I wasn't thinking something like that. So I just slide them over. I start stepping down, literally first step down. They all slide out from under me because, of course, it's not stable. And I fall. And as I go to catch myself, I instinctively reach out my arm to the side that I'm falling to catch myself. And boom, I'm fine, except that I can feel it in my arm, right? When I get back up and people are around, people were totally walking by. Everyone heard it was like this huge crash. People are like, are you okay? I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally fine. It was a stupid mistake. I can't believe I did that. Of course, for the next half hour, I'm like, I cannot believe I was that person in the gym that like didn't put a step together and was using all of them stacked together, like such a rookie mistake. And I'm not a gym rookie, but I want to shake it off and I want to get back to my workout. So of course I'm like, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Meanwhile, I'm like, wow, my wrist hurts really bad. And so I'm trying to move it because I'm like, is my wrist broken? So I'm like moving it, doing all the different angles. And I'm like, okay, I can move it every single direction, but wow, it just really hurts. And I really want some ice. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to see if I can keep going. Maybe it's just like I need to shake it off type thing. So I grab my kettlebell. I try to do some deadlifts. I'm not really holding with my left arm. I'm really only holding with my right, but I have my left arm on it. And after I do about 10 of them and I pick my arm back up, I'm like, okay, now it hurts a million times worse. It's almost like, you know, when you put your injured thing down below your heart and then all of a sudden the blood like rushes down and you feel a heartbeat in your arm. That was totally what was happening. And I was like, ow, ow, ow. So all I'm wanting to do is just hold it up, like elevated above my heart, my wrist, that is. And I really want some ice. And so I'm like, you know, maybe I'll just put the kettlebell back because I'm waiting for Peter. He's doing his workout. Obviously, like I was still in my warm up, so he still has like time to go. And I was like, maybe I'll do the stairs because like I need to do some stairs this week. So maybe I'll just switch my workout for today and I'll do the stairs. So I go over to the stairs. I try to start stair climbing, but it is just hurting worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I get down and then I go downstairs into the women's locker room. And I'm like, I'm just literally going to wait for Peter to get done with his workout. So I'm in the women's locker room. I'm trying to like see what my range of motion is. And at this point in time, I'm like, oh my God, it's my forearm. I'm starting to see a little bit of swelling in my forearm. I'm like, it's totally my forearm. It's not even my wrist. Both of them hurt. But it's something in my forearm, I think. Again, all I want to do is just hold it right above my heart, my wrist, close to my body. Can't hold anything, can't grab anything, can't open anything. Like my arm's out of commission. And then I go back up to find Peter. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta get some ice on this. I'm pretty sure it's broken. And so I go find him and I'm like, I hurt my arm. I think it's broken. And he's like, what? And so of course he stops what he's doing. We leave. He takes me to urgent care. And then he has to go get the kids who are at our friend's house. So he has to go pick up the kids, bring them to urgent care. And they had to do a series of x-rays. And oh my God, the x-rays are what hurts the worst. Anybody who knows, anybody who's had an injury knows the x-rays are the worst part of the urgent care visit because I don't know why they haven't created some sort of x-ray machine now where they can literally just like scan you in like a comfortable position. Like, okay, at the dentist, when my kids get their retainers made, they no longer have to do the bite down into the oozy stuff, right? Like they no longer have to do that. They have a machine now where they can just scan the top of their mouth and then make a retainer that fits. If they can do that at the dentist, why can they not create an x-ray machine where they can literally just walk into the room, like scan it over your body while you're sitting there and be like, oh yeah, this is broken. I don't know, but they have the old school, like you need to lay it down. We're going to step out of the room, push the button. We have to have the cross angles, like crossing in the right direction, right? So you have to literally lay it down flat and all of that. So that's the most painful part. They x-ray my forearm and wrist first. They don't see anything. She's like, I think it's your elbow. And I'm like, no, my elbow's fine. She's like, well, bend it for me. And I'm like, well, it really hurts to bend it all the way down. And so she's like, yeah, and that would make your forearm and your wrist hurt too. So anyways, they x-ray my elbow. It's horrible. I'm shaking. It hurts really bad. And then they finally come in and tell me, she's like, you have a super small hairline fracture. It's honestly going to be fine. You just need a sling for a couple of weeks. Do you want some strong ibuprofen? I was like, yes, I do. But she's like, you can ice it. You have a sling, start doing range of motion as soon as you can. You don't want it to lock up. And like, that's it, right? They send you out. That's it. So honestly, it has not been horrendous. It's definitely been painful. Haven't been able to really do anything with that arm. That arm is out of commission, but it's getting better day by day by day. And I'm not wearing the sling 24/7. If you're watching the YouTube, I'm not even wearing the sling in this right now. I mainly wear the sling when my bicep is getting tired of holding my arm in like a 90-degree angle position, right? To give my bicep a break. But I'm hoping that in a couple of weeks, I'll even be able to start like lifting some with it. I've still been going to the gym, but just not really lifting anything with that arm. So I'm still working out my legs and I can use my other arm to like, maneuver the weights or whatever. But literally, it's more embarrassing than anything else because I cannot believe I did that. It was like one of those things where you're like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. But you live and you learn, and I know better for next time. And I will look closer at the videos, apparently. But anyways, if you're watching the YouTube, you can see right now that I am in a different looking room. We've been traveling for the summer pretty much all over Colorado, different parts of Colorado, seeing family. Our most recent stop, we were in Burlington, Colorado, which is almost to Kansas. It's like very east. It's where my mom grew up. There's tons of family there on her side of the family, like pretty much half the town we're related to. And I grew up going to fair there every single summer. So we took the kids, my sister went with her family, and we stayed with some of our cousins, like second cousins, third cousins down there. And we got to go to the fair and go to the rodeo and just kind of relive some of my summertime memories. And none of my grandparents who lived there are still alive. And so it was weird for me being there with like my kids, and they're meeting like second cousins and things like that, but they're not meeting my grandparents, right? They're not like going to the home that I always went to. And that was a little weird, like almost a little sad for me, but it was so wonderful and so beautiful to be there and just like let them experience small town life, because it is a very small town. We're talking like 3,000 people max, and it's grown since I was a kid. I think it was like less than 2,000 when I was a kid, but we were just there. Now we're currently at my parents' house for a few more days. And then we are taking the kids camping at Turquoise Lake, which is a beautiful spot in Colorado in the mountains. You can see like 14 or 15 14ers just from the campground. So you're like literally in the mountains. And then we're driving back to Phoenix before we go and travel again. So we are hanging out with my parents this week. We're going to see my sisters, I think, my other sisters. I have a lot of them. But we're getting to spend a lot of time with family this summer, and that's been a really beautiful thing. And it's been amazing for us because we haven't really done that in a few years. And actually, that's kind of credited to Sterling, which his anniversary is coming up on Friday. It is his 1-year anniversary. We've been talking about what we want to do, and it's his birthday, but I was like, Peter, I don't want to celebrate like his birthday because it's not his birthday. he's not here, and I don't think he should be one. Like, he has the story that he has for a reason. And every year when his birthday comes, I'm not going to celebrate and be like, oh, he should be one today. He should be two today. He should be, right? Because I actually don't think that. I think he had the story that he had for a reason. And so we're going to call it Sterling's Day or Sterling's anniversary. And we're going to figure out what we want to do to just celebrate the day that we had with him. And I think we're thinking of like some fun things that we want to do. But I know for me, like navigating being a lost mom, and I'm saying that in quotes, lost mom, and like facing anniversaries and things, honestly, I have felt so much pressure to be like grieving this whole week, or to be like so focused on like a year ago or the past or like what happened, as opposed to letting myself be here right now and celebrate the life that I have right now, and even celebrate him and celebrate that day that we had with him in a place of happiness, in a place of peace, in a place of being thankful for our life and being thankful for the day that we had, and not in a place of, oh, look what should have been or what could have been, or I can't believe we went through that, or just focused on the loss, I guess. I feel like people expect you to be in that place so much, especially if you're like have a presence online. It's been really weird to like navigate it online, because I feel like other people want to come up to you and be like, oh, I'm just so sorry, or I'm just thinking about you, or whatever it is. And they mean so well. And it's so kind, like so kind of them to do that. And at the same time, I'm kind of like feeling then, because of all of those responses on me, like some sort of pressure to like be a certain way, or some sort of expectation to like be in some sort of emotion or some sort of state of being, or to just be like reliving it over and over again, as opposed to, no, we're not living in the land of should have been or could have been, and we're living in the land of what did. And we got a beautiful pregnancy, and we got a beautiful day with a beautiful boy, and that's it. And that's all I want to focus on, as opposed to focusing on the loss or what we should have had or something like that. So I don't know if there's any of you out there that have been through loss, but I just want to say, I think the pressure from other people or society, or just the expectations of how we should be, is worse or harder than the actual thing itself. And I'm giving myself a lot of permission to just be me and to do it differently, and to focus on what I want to focus on for my family and what's like best for us. And so honestly, I'm not really showing up a lot this week on social media, because I know I feel that pressure when I show up, and I want to be able to do it my way. And so I'm letting myself step away for a little bit of time and really just like not have to be someone or show up with answers or show up with something in a way that other people think that I should. So we're doing Sterling's Day, and I would love ideas on fun things to do to like commemorate or honor someone and really like celebrate them, that's like kid friendly. Okay. So like we're thinking maybe going and doing ice cream at our favorite ice cream place, right? And things like that. But if you have ideas, drop them in the comments below, or send me a DM on Instagram. I might not get to it for a while, but would love to hear some great fun ideas. But it's really because of him and everything that happened in his passing last year that really brought the family together on both sides of the family. It was really, really beautiful to see. We had almost all of our siblings come out, which Peter's one of 11 and I'm one of 9. So that's a lot, right? A lot of siblings to come out. I think literally all my siblings were there except for one at his service, and Peter's, it was like all of his except for like 1 or 2. And so it was the first time both sides of the family had that many people together since literally our wedding, which is crazy to me. I'm like, so we're the ones that brought the family together both times. But because of his passing, it really did bring the family together and really like restored and renewed a lot of relationships that had kind of been let go of. And so this summer, being able to travel to Colorado and stay with family the whole time and really just like have fun with family has been possible partly because of his passing. And that's just been a really, really beautiful thing. And I'm really thankful for it because my kids are loving it. They're loving being connected to their cousins and their grandparents and being able to spend so much time with them. So that's what's on the docket for us. We've had so much fun in Colorado being out of the Arizona heat, and I definitely want a house here. We know we don't want to spend summers in Arizona. We want houses other places, and we definitely want a house here because we have so much family here. It just makes sense to like be here for summers, maybe part of fall, maybe Christmas, right? Things like that. So this was for me just like that. We're putting it out there and we're making it part of our norm that we just leave for the summer and we spend the summer in Colorado. And now I can't wait to see what happens as far as getting a house out here goes. So you've probably noticed I've been a little more quiet on Instagram, and I literally just did a reel talking about it. And it's just because I'm in a stage and in a season where I'm not sure where I'm going with it. And I want to talk about that because I feel like women go through this and we don't know how to navigate a platform or a presence or a business and like give ourselves permission to not always have all the answers. And so for me, I've had a platform and I've had a business on Instagram for years, like we're talking 7, 8 years now. And I've pivoted it multiple times, and I've had times in my life where I've been like, man, I just want to like walk away from everything, like shut everything down, give myself like 100% clean start and like stop and just like shut everything down. And I've never let myself. And going through losing Sterling and going through grief and navigating postpartum and all of that, it really, really takes away your bandwidth for pretty much anything beyond surviving, like immediate survival, which is taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, and like that's about it. And so it's been beautiful in the fact that it's caused me to get very, very clear on where I haven't been letting go in ways that I want to or have felt called to, and I've had too much fear about it, right? I've had too much like, I can't actually walk away from this because what's going to happen, right? Or how will I just put all that work in for years and then I'm going to walk away and I'm going to lose all of that? Like the things that we tell ourselves is going to happen. And so I've been in this place where I'm kind of still been showing up and doing what I had been doing before him, but I'm not that person anymore. Like there are parts of me that are still the same for sure. And I still definitely have beliefs that are the same, but I'm not the person that's wanting to show up talking about the same thing, because going through something like that totally changes you. It totally changes what's important to you. It changes what lights you up. And I just haven't felt lit up about really wanting to do anything beyond taking care of myself, taking care of my family. And I think that's okay. I think that that's a beautiful thing. I'm also not someone that just wants to show up and like throw spaghetti at the wall or just show up and post just to post. Like I've done that before. I've been that person before. There's nothing wrong with that. That definitely can help you develop skills. Like the years that I did that, where I showed up and posted to post, I developed a lot of skills because practice makes habit and practice helps you get better. And I definitely did that, but I'm not in that place right now. I'm definitely someone that wants to show up when I have purpose to it, when I have intention to it, when I have a direction to it, when I feel inspired, when I feel called, and I just have not been feeling that. And so there's been a part of me that's like, I don't want to do this if it doesn't feel authentic to me, in that I know why I'm here and what I'm doing and what I want to do with it. And so it's kind of been this thing where I'm like, why am I still showing up? Like, why am I still running with this if I know that I just don't feel called to this right now? And I think part of it is a lot of those things I just said, where you're like, I've been doing this for years and now I'm going to give it up. Like, what? And I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that's something that we tell ourselves. I don't think that it's true. I don't think we will give it all up, because there's always skills that you've acquired. There's always people that you've met, connections you've made, right? Things that you will take with you no matter what you do, no matter how you pivot, right? So we're honestly in this place where we've really shifted a lot in our lives as far as our marriage goes, and like Peter's business really taking off and growing into this massive thing. And so it's actually been very appropriate for me to take more of the support role right now, because Peter's business is just exploding and he's building a massive vision. And something that we've always had was him being the breadwinner. I've never been the breadwinner for a family. I've said that many times. And that's not something that I've wanted. I haven't wanted to be the primary breadwinner for our family. I want to be part of a team. I want to contribute. But being responsible as the primary breadwinner has never been like what I want. And so he has always had that role. And even when I was going big in my business, he still paid all of the bills. But me going big in my business really did take a lot of time, resources, energy from him being able to go all in on his business, because someone has to pick up the slack at home. I've talked about this before on the podcast. Someone has to be the director of the home, the director of the kids, the director of all the little details that go with a marriage and parenting and having a home. And so it's kind of been this transition that's been happening for us the last couple of years, is me really stepping more into that role again, and him stepping up really big in his business, which is ultimately what I want. And it's so easy to feel like online that you're not enough of a woman if you are the support role and you don't have a platform, or you don't have a big presence, or you don't have some big external thing to show besides your children and your home. I don't know why that's like a thing, because it's not true, obviously, but there's a lot of pressure that comes with the online space. And so I think wanting the whole break and wanting to step back from online is a myriad of things for me. Number one, it's to give myself the mental well-being and fortitude to really step into what I feel called to right now, which is being a wife and a mom, and flourishing in that role and giving myself permission to love that role without pressure to do it the way anybody else does it, or be who anybody else is being, or create what anybody else is creating, or anything like that. It's so easy to look at the online space and see what everybody else is doing, and to, without knowing, feel some sort of pressure or even sometimes inspiration to do something that's not actually accurate for us. It's just because we see other people doing things. And then we think that we're being inspired, but it's actually pulling on a subconscious part of us that feels like we need to do more or be more or do something. And so then we create from a place of your subconscious wounding, as opposed to true inspiration or truly being called to something. So it's like the first time in my life where I'm really giving myself permission to sit back, step back, and really create from a place of, if I'm not being distracted by online, if I'm not consuming online, if I'm not seeing what anybody else is doing, if I'm not comparing to what anybody else is doing, if I'm truly just living my life and doing what I want to do, what I feel called to do, then what would I create? Then how would I live? Then who would I be? And honestly, right now, it's just giving myself permission to be a wife and mom and take care of me. And that's it. And that's just the stage of life that I'm in. And I think it's beautiful, and I think it's needed, and I think it's appropriate. And it does not mean that that's how it'll be forever. Again, I think that's another thing that women fall for, is like, but then what about 20 years from now? Doesn't mean it'll be that way for forever, but it does mean that I get to see it as all helping to align my life to what I actually truly want. And what I actually truly want is wealth and legacy and abundance in a way that supports our family, that supports our marriage, that serves our family and marriage, and that's not constantly running and chasing after the immediate dollar, the immediate gratification. And I know my husband is building that. And so why would I not step back and support him, and maybe even see how I can team and partner with him, as opposed to going out and doing my own thing. And now both of us are reinventing the wheel. And that's causing more time and more resources since we're both doing our own thing and reinventing the wheel, as opposed to coming together and building together. A marriage has so much power in the fact that men and women can build together. And we are uniquely gifted in the fact that when we do build together, we multiply our efforts. It's not addition, it's multiplication. And so that's something that I'm really like leaning into. How can I help him? How can I be a team with him? How can I build this with him as opposed to both of us building separate things together? And honestly, I think that's partially because I've learned more about my human design. I talked about this on Instagram. Okay, if you haven't looked into human design, I like knew a little bit about human design for years, but only enough to know like, okay, I'm a manifesting generator. And so that means X, Y, and Z. And like, that was about it. Okay, that's not knowing about human design. I started digging deeper into it and like, what's my profile number and what do the numbers mean? And how do I actually show up? Because one of the numbers tells you how people see you. The other number tells you how you actually see yourself and how you actually are on the inside, as opposed to how people see you. It tells you basically what your purpose is here, because you have a, now I'm not even going to think of the correct word, but you have a cross point of basically like that tells you why you're here, like what your purpose is. And as I began to dig into that and realize like, oh, this is actually how I'm wired, it totally gave me permission to step back and to like really follow what I feel called to, even if that looks opposite of what I should be doing, because I know how I'm wired and I actually know how I work best now. And so I'm giving myself permission to do that, as opposed to trying to do what everybody else is doing or feeling pressure to do because other people are doing or whatever it is. And I'm all about giving women permission to do them instead of doing everybody else. And literally human design is blowing my mind because it's so personal. It's not just like the Enneagram where it's like, here's your number. And now you're like, you're a 7. So you're like all these other 7s. No way. Human design literally is so personal and so customized that there is no one person that's like the same. Every single person is different. And the more you know about your human design, then the more you understand how you're wired and why you're wired and what your purpose is and things like that, the more you will give yourself permission to literally be you instead of constantly trying to change you to fit in or change you to be like someone else or do it the way somebody else is doing it or do something because somebody else is doing it. You'll literally stop all of that and you'll be like, oh, I see, I'm not supposed to, because I'm supposed to be me. And this is how I am. And this is how I work. And so if you want me to bring that onto the show, comment below, like tell me what you want to hear about human design, because honestly, it's blowing my mind and may or may not be something I'm going to incorporate into my retreat for my mastermind in October, because it's so good. And I think everyone needs it, because honestly, the more you understand yourself, the more you won't look to outside people to tell you what to do or how to do it or what you need. And you will have so much more peace and so much more confidence in being yourself and following what you feel called to. So that's what I'm leaning into right now. And I don't know what it means for me necessarily online. I mean, is a part of me that still loves to show up and connect, and I'm sure that I will to some degree. But the biggest takeaway for me right now is that I'm not showing up unless I truly feel called or inspired to. And I'm not showing up to produce anything. And I'm not showing up to sell anything. And I'm literally just letting myself be. I'm literally letting myself step back and reevaluate like where my time and my energy is spent best. And right now that's partnering with my husband. That's being a wife, that's being a mom, that's taking care of myself. And I don't know how long that season's going to be. I don't need to know. My job is to just follow what I feel called to. And it is a surrender and it is a trust fall and it is a letting go and trusting that what's coming next is better than what I have right now. So do what you feel called to. Give yourself permission. I'm going to go hang out with my kids. I'm going to take them to the gym, get my stairs done for the day. And I will see you next week on the show. I'll tell you what we ended up doing for Sterling's anniversary. And if you have any good ideas, don't forget to send them to me. All right. I'll see you guys back on the show next week.